Sawadee and welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod Mindful Media and Communication. And today we're talking about something serious. We always talk about serious things, right? But today we're talking about is it always good to talk about serious issues? Or are there situations where certain people should not be talking about serious issues? Now, that sounds very abstract. Let me paint a better picture. Let's assume another mass shooting is happening in the US. Let me check it's about time for another one. So nothing says end gun violence quite like a heartfelt Instagram post. Like that sandwiched between like a luxury vacation pic and like some brand endorsements of like Kim Kardashian, for example, just as an example, right? So Kim Kardashian posting like luxury brand items here, then a luxury trip to Dubai there, and in between is like, yay, peace, love, harmony, say no to gun violence. Does that really help the cause? And that's the big question of today's episode that I want to analyze a little bit. Like, do celebrities always need to speak out? And does it help the cause or does it hurt the cause? Because, if a pop star with like $1 million contract isn't speaking out about global conflicts, are they activists? Are they non-activists? Should they be activists? And that's a big question right now in the world, right? I mean, the go-to example right now, as of recording, would be Macklemore, and I'm not saying who's right or wrong. I'm just saying Macklemore is like very outspoken in regards to the Israel-Palestine conflict. He just came out with his song about Gaza, right? Which then shows like some of the destruction in Gaza, of course, which is very vocal. The lyrics very straightforward, like not beating around the bush, so to speak, but very aggressively telling everybody to Assad basically tells Biden, F you, I'm not going to vote for you anymore, in the song, actually, as part of the lyrics. So, and he says, hey, what's with all the other artists? Why are you so quiet? Why are you not using your platform? What the F is wrong with you? Yeah, so that's basically the message that Macklemore has in his song right now. And I found it very interesting because I do agree that I think maybe in the past, like in a long forgotten past by now, it seemed like artists, but celebrities in general, like sports stars, have been more activists than they are now. They have been more outspoken. And there's an easy answer to that, like an economical answer to that, all right? If you take one strict position on whatever it might be, pro-Palestine, against Palestine, whatever it might be, if you take like this position, you alienate the people on the other side, and the thing is, you want money from each of them, right? So that's, of course, the big issue. That's the main reason why most artists don't speak out. Most celebrities don't speak out about anything. Then another question would be, aren't they rich enough? So if you alienate like one target audience, whatever, you're still making enough money, right? You could say that. And on the other hand, people would argue if someone speaks out, like we had it, for example, in the NBA, only a few times, never by LeBron James, by the way, but only a few times where people spoke out like against some of the Chinese deals, for example, because China is claiming Taiwan and so on, right? And they were shutting down the Hong Kong protests like violently and so on. So NBA players spoke out about it, against it. And then lots of people were like, yeah, just shut up and dribble. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a degree in that. Like, why would you even talk about it? Right? So there are those two thoughts of thinking there. There's more to it, though. There's more to it. And I'm gonna give you like a few more pointers, a few more theories that really explain how celebrity star engagement can be perceived and why it is a bit difficult to really make that work. And even now, if you're like a Macklemore fan and if you're very much pro-Palestine, and again, I'm not taking sides right now, So in German, I have to be careful. But can I use humor here in this episode? I'm not sure. I'm a German. I can use humor anyways. But even here, people now will be saying like, he's just a rapper. What does he know, right? So there's more to it than what's on the surface, which is always true, of course. But does it mean? Because if we don't see the surface, should we just be quiet, assuming that there's more under the surface that we don't know, and just trust random people? Or should we still speak up, especially if we have a big platform? So much to it. I picked I think 5 theories for us today to quickly look into, to see how those theories impact the way we see pop stars when they're speaking up, why they speak up, why they don't speak up, okay? The main theory that I found interesting here is one by scholars from the Frankfurt School, which then eventually became the Glasgow School of Media. And the main proponent of the theory, the cultural industry theory, is Mr. Adorno, Theodor Adorno, a German dude, Theodor Adorno, and Max Horkheimer. Okay, so they were from the Frankfurt School. And so what they said, right? They said, well, pop culture can trivialize serious issues and hence, or not hence, but then also serve capitalist interests. So that's the main talking point of Adorno. Back then, when they did the research there, they were talking about the Vietnam War. Okay, so there's a famous interview with Adorno. It's also on YouTube if you want to check it out, where he talks about that he doesn't like that now pop artists sing about the Vietnam War because it trivializes it and takes seriousness away from it, so that it becomes like a pop cultural commodity, and people don't take it as serious anymore. They just sing along with the song and hence don't do anything else about it. Okay, so we could also look at some contemporary examples right now, like us, for example, maybe rapping, singing with Macklemore, singing like, yeah, F Joe Biden, but then what else are you going to do about it? Yeah, that relates a little bit to the theory of selectivism, if you want to call it a theory. Selectivism posits that just by participating in online engagement, we feel like we do something to add to a cause, to change the world, even though we don't. Like you see a campaign on Facebook, so that shows my age. You see a campaign on Instagram, on TikTok, you like it, you share it, and then you're like, yeah, I changed the world. Did you? What you do? You pressed like. Wow, you're such an activist. Congratulations. And then this feeling of, I did something, I liked it, I shared it, and then, okay, I did something. Then I sit back and I scroll and I keep scrolling through other videos and I'm entertained again and I don't think about the problem anymore. I posted a comment on a video saying yeah, free Palestine. Okay, cool. Palestine flag. Yeah, cool. I did something. Now I can move on. All right, so that's selectivism. You think you did something by showing online engagement, but actually, did you really do something? I mean, yeah, sure, you added a quintillion of a percent of engagement to a post that already has engagement, I guess. But other than that, you didn't do much. That's called selectivism, right? We had it, but that was a thing before internet too. It's now just much bigger, right? Before internet, I remember when I was young, those armbands were trendy, where you had armbands for certain causes. You're Lance Armstrong, for example, the former Tour de France winner. Let's not talk about that. Had a Live Strong armband for cancer, because he had cancer, fighting cancer for his cancer foundation, so cancer awareness. A wristband, for example, Live Strong, but then of course every festival has some message on it. So that's also hey, look at my wristbands. I'm doing something. Yeah, congratulations, you're wearing a wristband. And it's now online the same thing. It's just less than a wristband. You're not even wearing a wristband, you're just clicking like. Okay, that's selectivism. Now I lost a little bit of the track here, but we can go back to the cultural industry theory, saying that if pop culture takes on serious issues such as Palestine, Gaza, Ukraine, whatever it might be, it trivializes the subject that it sings, raps, talks, portrays about, and hence serves capitalist interest, because you still want the clicks, you want the listens, you want the views, the likes, the shares, right? So because that's how you make money. So that then it serves a capitalist interest, and it takes away the seriousness, like I said earlier, because you just hum along with it, like, F. Joe Biden, Gaza. I'm just making this up, right? But that's basically what Adorno and Horkheimer were saying. Because it trivializes the serious issue and it serves capitalist interests. Now, the question that I want to ask you is, I think that's understandable, but is it better to not do anything? Is it just better to not talk about those issues as a pop cultural artist or celebrity or whatever because it's so serious? Or should it be like, I understand the challenge, but I'm still going to talk about it? And those are those two questions that needs to be answered. I'm not the one to say what's right or wrong. I just present to you that there is an issue to, or there's like a challenge that comes with it. Okay. Okay, I think that's the newest theory that we didn't discuss yet. The other theories will be familiar with you. Okay, so that's why I keep it longer on this one, on Adorno and Horkheimer, and then like a bit shorter now on the following one. Because, of course, the second theory here needs to be the agenda settings theory, right? Like artists do have agendas, and artists can influence the public agenda by bringing attention to specific issues through their platforms. The thing is, though, however, of course, every artist also has an agenda, right? There are artists that are bought off by, or not bought off, that's too harsh, supported by certain governmental agencies, for example, to say certain things. Right? They don't tell them, say this and that word. They tell them, hey, your friends, act like it. Here's money, for example, right? So artists do have agendas. So which artists do we believe? Which agenda do we support? Do we understand that they have agendas? Because if we understand that they have agendas, then we can choose whether or not to support those. Right? So we can't just blindly believe our favorite artists just because we like their music, because you never know. If you understand, hey, they have an agenda, then you can make the decision by yourself from your own opinion and say, yep, I understand his, her, their agenda. I'm still going to go with it, or I'm not going to go with it. But don't just blindly follow anyone. And this relates very, very much to then, of course, another theory that we discussed before, the framing theory. Because based on my agenda, I will frame certain issues in a certain way. Like, so artists can frame issues in a certain way. Like what I said earlier with gun violence, for example, right? You put the frame on it like, hey, if there were no guns, things wouldn't happen. Another frame would be, if everybody had guns, they could all defend themselves. Right? Those are different frames for the same issues. Okay, so that's the framing theory. And the same thing happens with Gaza, of course, right? Macklemore is saying like, hey, the frame is right now, all of the innocent people in Gaza are dying. They're all they're pushing them to Rafah, and then they're dropping bombs on Rafah. Like, what is happening here? And then, of course, people who support Israel, they like, let me change the frame. Look what happened October 7. Look at the massacre that happened there. So we have to get rid of Hamas. That's why this is happening. Different frames. I'm not saying that's okay, just to make sure. I'm trying, and you can probably, I'm not sure if you can hear it from my voice, but you can see it from my face probably, that while I was making this example, my facial expression probably turned to something rather sad. So I'm not saying that's okay. Okay, just to make that clear. I just want to visualize or use this example of what's happening right now to explain what this framing actually is, what the framing theory actually is, because you can see it being applied everywhere. And we talked about this before when we talked about how the media is using the wars to make money. And we talked about this on a previous podcast, maybe 6 months ago or so. But even artists, of course, they frame certain things the way they talk about certain things. Okay. Like I said, Macklemore uses a frame. And the frame, by the way, just because I see that he has an agenda and that he's using framing doesn't mean that I'm against it. I can understand why he's using that frame of reference, for example. I can totally see it. I'm just saying there are other frames too. Okay, so, and if you see that an artist, a celebrity, whoever uses framing, and if you say, yep, I see he's using framing, I see he's not talking about the attack on October 7th, for example, but I still support it because then you're making up your own opinion, and then it's okay. That doesn't make it right, It doesn't make him right, doesn't make you right, but it does make you right in terms of making your own informed decision, if that makes sense, right? If you make your own informed decision, then it's up to you. Okay, and then you have to stand for your decision. Okay, so in that, I think that's all we're asking for. That's what I want. I would like that everybody just makes their own informed decisions, because then, I'm trying to lighten up the podcast now, then you can stand on your own business because you know why you decided like that. You didn't just blindly follow anyone. And as a German, I can tell you, blindly following someone is not a good idea. Okay? Should tell this to my fellow Germans right now as well when the elections are coming up again. Okay. 2 more for you. One, the one that I mention all the time, I always say it's underrepresented because no one talks about it. So that's why I talk about the theory. It's the spiral of silence. Again, I know I talked about it many times on this podcast because I think it's a very underrated theory, because I think it's applied. It happens just about everywhere all the time. Yeah, so the spiral of silence, just very quickly now, the fear of isolation influences you to not say something. Let's say there's a majority opinion. You disagree with the majority opinion, but you're keeping it to yourself because you think you don't want to argue with the majority opinion, because then you would be alone. You would be isolated. So the fear of being isolated, being alone with your opinion, leads you to not voice your opinion, voice your concern, for example, and just go with the majority, go with the flow, even though you don't agree with it, just to avoid confrontation, for example, avoid being alone. Hello, Germans back in the day, okay, for example. And this could also be with artists, for example. Artists, maybe they choose not to speak out or remain silent in regards to certain controversial issues because they don't want to stand alone. They're like, oh, in Hollywood, everybody's supportive of, I'm just making this up, right? Everyone's supporting of Israel, for example, like at least the companies. So I'm not going to speak out about it, because if I speak out about it and I say, I don't support this, then I won't get any job offers anymore. I won't get any roles anymore. I can't provide for my family, for example, the way I'm doing it right now. So I'm not going to speak out about it. I'm going to be like, okay, sure, whatever, and you go with the flow. Okay, that's the spiral of silence theory. Now, should this be a thing? No. We all should have the spine to stand up for what we believe, obviously. Is it a thing? Of course it's a thing, right? No one wants to be alone. No one wants to die alone on a hill, or on like something that other people don't agree with, especially if you say it's something that doesn't impact your own life right away, right? I think that's very understandable. Unfortunate. Okay, so that's the spiral of silence theory, the fear of being isolated. Okay, the fear of isolation, and that's why you keep your opinion. That's contrary to the mainstream opinion to yourself. Okay. And the last one that I noted down for this podcast episode is the SRT. We talked about it before, but I still think it's like very fitting when it comes to like artists, the social responsibility theory. So this theory posits, as you might remember, that media, and by extension artists that use media, obviously, have a duty to contribute to, and I wrote it down, societal well-being. Okay? So the media and people using the media should contribute to societal well-being. That's the duty of everyone that has like a reach, so to speak. That's the social responsibility theory. Yeah, some social responsibility. You can reach many people, so and with great power, you finish that sentence. So now artists' actions, they can align or diverge from this responsibility. Now, speaking out for or against something could be seen as social responsibility, right? Because you have this platform and you're like, okay, I need to do something, like I should make my voice heard. I should let the people know. Yeah, social responsibility. On the other hand, you could also be like, I'm famous, I'm the artist, I'm a sports superstar. Whatever I say will be like on TV, it will be on the internet. People will like use like put a looking glass over it and dissect it, and What if I'm wrong? What if I don't know exactly what's going on? And what if people then disagree? Spiral of silence again. Well, maybe I don't want to put it all out there. And that's also social responsibility. Maybe I don't want to lead the people that follow me into a wrong direction because I don't know better. It's also social responsibility. So you can see social responsibility is like not just black and white. And you can see why some people say it's important to speak out, to speak your mind. And some say, but I don't know enough to do it. However, I don't want to end on like, either way is okay. No. However, if you're saying I don't know enough to speak about it, there's an easy way to fix that. Learn more about it. Have an open mind. Learn more about it. And if you speak out on something, people will respond. And of course, you don't have to read all the comments on your Instagram post, but especially if you're a like famous artist, sports superstar, whatever, if you talk about something, you're like, oh, this issue is really something that bothers me. I really would like to know like what to think about it, but I'm not sure. If you say that, people who know more about it will reach out to you. They will educate you happily. And then again, comes back to make up your own mind. Take it in, have an open mind, let people educate you, look at like different outlets, look at different angles, different frames, and then trust that you are smart enough to make up your own mind and then speak it and then see what's happening. So I'm not giving you a cop-out here for like, either like, social responsibility could also be not saying anything to not lead anyone down a wrong road. Yeah, I understand that cop-out. It's easy. I don't want to tell people something wrong. Educate yourself, okay? Especially as a famous person, you have all the power in the world and with great power, one more time. So educate yourself. Even if you're not famous, educate yourself because that's the only way that you can make up your own opinion, that you don't have to rely on celebrities to tell you what's right, what's wrong. You don't have to rely on Kim Kardashian to understand whether or not we should vote for whatever, cheer for whatever, and so on, which flag we have to hang in our garden and whatnot. Okay? So it's important. Media literacy matters, and the only person that can make sure that you're media literate is yourself. Heavy stuff here today. I hope that helps a little bit to explain why artists are speaking out and why so many artists aren't speaking out, and why I personally do believe that more artists and celebrities should speak out about certain issues. And if they don't know what to say, they should educate themselves. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? If not, you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. Educate me if you think that I got something wrong. Happy to not argue, to debate on a friendly level. Do like, share, subscribe. That always helps. Leave your thoughts in the reviews on any podcast platform that you're listening to, or on social media. FunkItPod there, funkitpod@gmail.com if you want to have a more private conversation. Until then, stay safe, take care. Tell your artists to grow a pair, and we talk soon. So.